most of us we had issue with seeing screen and different issues like that. So, and the repetition is always for emphasis, gives us advantage. So I will clean up everything we did yesterday. And then let me go to the HTML. I hope you can. Okay, let me share my screen. I share the screen. So Godwin, you can mute yourself so that the okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
All right, so here
Yes,
we
sir.
go. Okay, I want to. All right, let me run our code again. Open with live server. Okay. So this is our code. Now in the HTML, I'm deleting everywhere we have display like this. We delete it.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Let me just mute. I think your mic so that we can. It won't. Okay. So I'm removing all these functions. We'll bring them back again so that we'll just start afresh and have.
Sir, can you just close the folder this thing colon so that the code will be a little bit complete?
Okay. And yeah, I think it's better now.
Yes, sir. It's better now.
Okay. So let's go on. Let me remove all these. We'll come back to them. Okay. All right. I worked from what we've done, this calculator, after our example today, the assignment you guys will have to do for me within the week is to add some scientific function. If you look at the Windows calculator app, this is how the scientific app looks like. The scientific calculator looks like. So what you guys will do is to extend our calculator from this basic one to then include the functionalities of the scientific calculator. So I will give you guys the link where you can have access to the code, the functions within JavaScript math object that will help you to be able to process some of these things like the square root. So I will give you the link where you can have information, the log, and then you will be able to implement it. To be a whole day or 2 days assignment for you. So when we come back after the assignment, we then look at your implementations and criticize them. So first of all, before we keep our code, there's something important concerning our JIT now. The last time we didn't push our code online, so we have to do that. You remember what we did in JIT? If we keep doing that, you'll be able to master it. To add the file we have edited, we'll do JIT add, and then we put dot to add all the files we have edited. So if you put status, you see JIT. Okay. I think I need to navigate to calculator folder, cd calculator. because that's where we have our project. So if we put a Git status now, you will see that we have modified our JS, CSS, HTML, and MD readme.md file. So we can then add them, say git add dot, and we've added them to the staging environment. We can then do git commit, and then we say our message is calculator UI done, and that is okay. We can then commit it. Then we can do git push, and oh sorry, that is on git push. Now I've clicked git push. Our code will be available online. Okay, if I go to my GitHub account now, you will see all the code in the HTML and the .js. So now let's come back to our JS. The first function we want to implement is our clear screen. We have the button for the clear screen, this particular C, so we call it clear screen. We are not expecting any parameter, so we remove this param. Now in our document, we have the input is called have an ID called result. So we get element by ID. We get that particular input with an ID of result, and then we clear what is there. To clear what is there, we just add the value property. We just equate it to empty string. Okay. So now we have equated our value property to an empty string. So if I save this and then I type something, okay, I can't type anything. I've not implemented. So let's implement the function for display. This particular function, the job is just to add something to our calculator interface. That is the input here. This input is going to have the value of what we are displaying. So here, let's just call the our parameter input, and then we can then get element by ID. Where I know, yesterday I told you you can get either with query selector and then input. It's only one input we have there, so it is very okay to use query selector. Then we can access the value, and we say this value equals, we are appending the input we are clicking now to it, and then we come back to our HTML now and say, okay, let's begin from the up and look at this one. Okay, we leave all these ones now. That is what you implement in the scientific function. So we call here on click, we say display. What is here is 7. So we are going to display 7. And you put it in a quote. It's a string. We display 7. We put 7 like this. So if we save and then we click 7, 7 is now added to the screen for us. We can now see 7. Okay, so let's go back. Now what we are going to do, if we click on the delete now, it's also removing everything for us. If we click on the CE, it's removing everything for us. This delete we remove one by one. Okay, so let's go back again now. We are now going to add this on click. This on click is an event in JavaScript. What it does is whenever an element that is clicked is going to execute the function attached to it. In this case, we attach the function display to our button with ID 7, ID 8. And when we get to the one with ID 8, we want to display 8. So we change the value of the parameter of that display at that point. It's the same function we are calling, but the value we are passing to it as parameter changes at every time, at every point we are placing the display. So when we get to this one, we put asterisk. Asterisk is what is used to represent multiplication in JavaScript. If you put X, you're not actually doing what JavaScript will be able to understand, because that X will be seen as a string, and there is no way the S can be converted to a mathematical operator. But in this case, asterisk is a mathematical operator in JavaScript. So putting asterisk is what should be done. And at this point, we are now implementing for 5. Then we get to 6. We also put 6 there. Put 6. Then we get to subtraction or minus. That is what we put there. You put dash there also to represent that, because that's what is used as subtraction sign, the subtraction sign in JavaScript. So now we get to 1. We do the same thing for 2. And then we do the same for 3. And we do the same for plus. We still put plus sign there. Yeah, we do the same for 0. We will not consider this one at the moment. We implement this one separately when taking on more advanced functions. So we put the dot also. Okay, and then the equals, we implement a different solution, a different function called solution, or let's just call it solve. And then it's not expecting any parameter. We are not passing any parameter to it, so we just put quote. And then here, you remember we are using on click, it's an on click event, so we just remove those ones now. So now we are going to write this solve function in our JavaScript file. So what we do, we have a function called solve. You remember I told you you can either use an arrow function or you write your function in this standard function format. But if you want to use an arrow function, you can then you define your function name. In our case, our function name is solve, and then we can put the function parameter. It doesn't have parameter, and then you put the arrow function like this. This is also equivalent to this. When you put your RF cursor here, you will see that this is a function, and the name of the function is display expecting input, and the type is of any. If you also put your here, your console here, you also see the name is solve, and it's also showing this arrow function showing you that it's returning void. Nothing is returned yet. It's also a valid function. So what we want to do here now is to solve our evaluate what is on the input. So we can say const let's say input value say document dot get element by id, and then we are still getting the id of result, the element that have the id of result, and then we are getting the value property. Okay, and now we say we are creating our result. Now we say our result is ever, this is a JavaScript function that evaluates a string, and our string we want to evaluate now is input var. So now what we have to do is now to update these elements. So instead of having value here, let me say what we can have here. Well, let's call this input only. Then we can then say input var is equals input dot value. Okay. So let's see, create this as const. So what we can now do is we are now updating our input as input.value is now equals our result. Remember, in this case, we are not doing plus equals because we are not appending. We want to replace everything that is on the input. So now we have written our function for calculating our result. We are not returning any value here. So if we click 8 times 2, and then we click equals, you see now we've gotten 16. The mathematical operation multiplying 8 by 2 is working. If we also come here, we press this 166 minus 100, we'll also get 66. If we then say this 66 now, okay, I didn't add to this device, so let's just use plus now. Say we add 5 to this, we should get the 71. Okay, so we've checked these two. So let's go back again and then implement for add for subtraction. I think where do we have that? Should be at the top. Okay, yeah, we didn't put display here for that. So at this point, we can say display and click should be display, and click put display, and what we are displaying now is slash. Okay, all right. So if we now come to add our divide. We can now see it on the screen. We say 50 divided by 2. We see our result as 25. So this is how we were able to implement our calculator functions. So now we have implemented everything. In case you are wondering about this on click, remember I told you it's a JavaScript event. We have different events in JavaScript. Like we have an event for mouse enter. So like this is for if we want to execute a code when mouse enters our button or any part of our code, our screen, we can write a function like on mouse enter anytime mouse enters there. So we can then create a function. Let's just say we create a function called greet, and then we come to our JavaScript file and we say function greet. We are not expecting a parameter. Let's just say alert. Hi, this. Let's say hi. Today's class is awesome. Okay. So if we save our code and we put our cursor on 4, you see that we have our alert. I have not even clicked 4. Just putting your cursor there, your mouse on 4, it will alert you. If you put it in all this one that don't have the mouse enter, nothing will happen. But once your mouse enter 4, the mouse enter event will execute. You can equally capture when mouse leaves the button or a section of your program. Like if you say now, we can also create another function and call it mouse left, and then we remove this. We can also alert, say mouse has left button 4. And then we come to our HTML and attach it to button 4. Now we have on mouse enter. We can also now have on mouse leave. Nice. This is on mouse leave, and then we can say we call the function mouse left. And that is it. So if we save our code now, we come to 4, we see hi, today's class is awesome. And then we'll see this next one is already showing mouse has left button 4 because we have removed. Now we have it there. I click this, mouse is still on 4. The other one didn't come up, but once I remove it from 4, you see that we now have the next one showing mouse has left button 4. These are events that are available in JavaScript, which you can bind with your in your HTML, you bind them to your JavaScript code such that any activity that happens on your web page, things can happen. If we also want to capture how you are moving your mouse on our website, we can use this mouse enter, mouse move. We can use different event to be capturing your activities on our website. That is what JavaScript events are very helpful in helping us capture some activities and make our site more interactive. That is why we say that JavaScript adds interactivity to a website. At this point, I don't know if anyone have a question you can ask. Let's see what we get before we proceed. Yeah, Godwin, do you have a question? Is gift available? I don't know if gift is online now. Is in the meeting.
It's actually complicated though, sir.
Okay.
To practice it. It's complicated.
Yeah, you will actually understand it if you are practice. If you practice, if you don't code this, you won't really understand it because a lot of things will still be lacking. The understanding will be more shallow. But if you now practice and see the behavior of the code, it become more clear. You'll be able to understand it better. That is why I also usually encourage you guys after our class to do your best to just do some level of practice. So let me go back.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
My question now is,
Yes.
when you're doing about the maths left and the my question is, why is it not showing on the application itself? It's showing outside the application. Why is it not showing at the answer column? It's showing outside the application itself. So that's my question.
Okay. What happened is if you look at the code we wrote in the function, it's called alert. This alert is a pop-up in your browser. When you say
Okay,
alert,
sir.
what it
Okay.
just do is it will create a pop-up on your browser, and anything you have inside the pop-up is what will be displayed on that. Anything you have inside the alert here as a string is what will display as a pop-up. JavaScript has some pop-up like that. It has the one called confirm. If you look at this, is the confirm. It has some syntax. It has also the one used to capture message data from person. If you put this confirm now and we say, please confirm this message. If we save here now, let's comment our alert in button for. Then let's also comment this one. And then you also have the one called prompt. This prompt will also display an input for you. You will say message and say, will you be in class tomorrow? They're asking a question and then we save. If we come now to our code, I put this, it's saying, hi, today's class is awesome. Okay, I think our app have not refreshed. So you see that the app have refreshed now. When your mouse enter here, you see the kind of pop-up that comes. It's different from the pop-up you saw before. And then it's asking you, will you be in class tomorrow? You cannot type your answer, say yes. So you can use the kind of pop-up to get data from the person. And it's not, we are not the one that designed this one. It's inbuilt in the browser, and with the help of the JavaScript, is we can be able to leverage this and show the user this pop-up. The person can cancel, you can say, okay, in our code, we can pick the answer of the person from what he typed on that input. Okay, so those are just default pop-up that are available for us within the browser. When using JavaScript, you can access them and manipulate them the way you deem fit. I think
Okay, sir.
you're able to get that. Okay, if we just do this and then we say alert response, this is your response. So when we come, let's come back there again. You say I'm typing yes now, and then I click OK. You see that I've picked the yes now. I'm alerted to the person. This is our response, yes. If you type no there, you will see the no. So we have been able to pick that. Just to pick that, you cannot declare a variable and say like const response equals prompt. So whatever the person type on that input, you will get it from here. So it's just a JavaScript function and that help us to create a pop-up and get answer. Okay, so let's look at from our code. Now let me open our let's go to W3 school. I think I sent the link to this guy. Let me just go there, W3 school. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. JS square root, JS square root. So I want to send you this link so that you will use the information you get here to implement more features in our calculator as an assignment. So this is the area you should look at: math object methods and properties. So when I ask you to implement the absolute value of a number, you just call this method. You can do that equal sign, return the equal sign of s in radians. This one also, the assign all the time, all those mathematical things you can do, like you find in your four-figure table, you see the method here. You have floor to round up something downward. You have a cell to round up something upwards. You have f round returns the nearest 32-bit integer precision float representation of a number. You have log s, l, and 10 return the natural logarithm of 10, approximately 2 days. You have pi also. Yeah, this is the pi. So there are all these things. You can use them to implement a more robust calculator function. So what I want you guys to do now, if you're using Windows or any other operating system, you extend our design to include all these features that makes up this scientific calculator. Now, what you do, you remember we have 4 columns in our existing calculator. If we come to the calculator page now, we have 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. But now to make it a scientific calculator looking like this, we can now have up to 6 columns. I think it's 6 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have about 5 columns. And then on the rows, we have before 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So with this, you can add more column to our app and then add more row to our app. So I want you to do this at least tomorrow. You should do this on the UI level, and then by next tomorrow you should finish implementing the function that will help us to get this, to get a square root. Now let's look at
So
getting.
I have question. Oh.
Okay, yeah, you can ask before I proceed.
So the network is breaking. So this second function, which code will somebody write to write this second function? This second function, this one before pi,
I
because in those codes, this second function, which code will somebody write? Because in scientific calculator, second function is like, let me see, if you want to click off, and off is written under. You know, there's some that are written on top, and there are one that are written inside this. If you want to like pick where sign, sign like where there is sign,
mm,
or where there is cos. If you want to pick like cos inverse,
mm.
you now click second function before you click second inverse. So how can somebody write code for this second function?
In our calculator, like this particular one on the screen, there is no key for that second function. The reason for that second function is the size of the calculator you have. Those functions are hidden inside that particular key. You understand, isn't it? The
Yes, sir.
keys, if they want to add every key on that particular calculator, the size will be bigger than what you see. That is why they now provided a function, a key there that you can use to perform some hidden functions inside the calculator. But in this case, what I want you to do is you put a button for all the things we want on our calculator. You put a button for pi, you put a button for this, you put a button for this, you put a button for all these ones, so that you just need to click it once and execute it. We won't go to implementing a button which we can be using for second function. So in this case, what I want to do now is for our square, s square. You remember, if we look at the page I just showed you, let's see. This is for square root. You can use this, returns the square root of s. And I think I want to, okay, for power, yeah, this one you can use this to achieve for that power. And let's go up again. All right, let's see if we want to implement for, sorry, let me open back our calculator. We want to implement for s square. We know that the s square is anything you type on the screen raised to the power of 2. So you know what we can do? We can come to our calculator and say, let's create a function called s square. Or let's just call it square. And then this function is going to expect 2 parameters. So what we do, let's create a function called square. And then we have here x and y, x and y. X is the value the person type. Y is the second value that we okay, let's just implement for the squaring it by 2. So we put x, which is the value the person want to square, what is on the screen. So let's say we say document dot get element by id, and then we put our results, and then we say dot value. So we say now, so in this case, we are not expecting anything because we'll get it from the screen. So we say s is equals this. Okay, so what we can then do now is math dot square, sorry, math dot power, but that is what we can use to raise it to the power of 2. So we say x and then we put comma 2 because 2 is a constant for us. We just want to raise it by 2. So what we now need to do on the screen, we can then say document dot get element by id again, and then we say result, and now we say dot value is equal to this. We have changed the value of a document. So if I come here now and then go to our HTML and look at the area, this particular one that is for square, and then we say on click, I put square and I call the function. So when we come to our code, we put 5 here and click x square, it's giving us 22, 25. That is exactly the result of 5 square. So if you click 8, or let's delete this. If you click 8 and then you also square it, it's giving us 64. That is the square of 8. The same thing for the square root. So if you want to implement that for the square root, normally what we could do in considering our operator, what we could have done here without considering a JavaScript function is to say s times s, which will give us the result. But in a case where we now have s, maybe are raising it to the power of 10, this will now become ambiguous. It will not become very bad to do. If we still click here, we still get 25. Okay, that is how we would have written that using our math operator. But we want to use inbuilt math functions now. Now, if you want to implement the square root, we can also call a function and say square. Let's just call it a square root like this, the way it is there. Then what we can also do, I'm not copying what is here and just paste it here so that here we are getting the value on our input. And now what we want to do is we say square root of x. There is no need of having the second parameter. It's only one parameter we need. If you put your cursor here, it's only expecting one number, which is x. So if we then come here, save our code, let's first of all square s. We have 25. We find the square root of 25. Oh, sorry, I have not attached it to the square root button. So let's just copy our function name and come to our HTML. We look at the square root. This is the square root. So we can then look at the on click of our square root and then we add it to our function. So when we come to our code now, if it's square 5, say square of 5 is 25, then we put the square root of 5, we are now getting our 5 back. So if you say 89, sorry, let's clear our screen again, say the square root of 89, say 89 square root, we are having 9.44. If we say the square root of 81, then we put square root, we are having 9, which is exactly the square root of 89. Okay, I don't know if you have any questions. So if you look at the math functions, you can use them to solve different advanced mathematical operations. Any question at this point?
No, sir.
But this square root and this one, when I did it, I do it work. I used normal logic of reasoning, but I didn't use this English function. And it works, sha.
Okay. So if you use that, it's fine. You will still be able to, so long your formula is correct, you'll be able to get your result. But the fun of using the inbuilt function is that the functions have been tested and proven to be correct and have been added as a part of the language features. So it saves you the headache of trying to write
See,
the formula and then
yeah,
test the validity.
it took me time before I was able to crack my head to do that. I was able to, so that I even thought that I even get my way I was thinking. I could not do anything. I said, I must get this, I must get it, I must get it. So my head was scattering. I just, then thank God.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Those things also help you to, get more kind of you get you task your brain to get more. I think this a percent, this percent. I think let's see, we can add our display to the percent. We're supposed to do that. We can then also add on click percent. We say display, and then we put our percent. Okay. So if we come here now of is this going to give us something? And that is 10. You say 10% of 100 is 10. Okay. Let's say we can also say 5.
I'm not seeing the screen because the calculator, I don't know whether you can be able to adjust the.
You're not seeing the inputs.
Yeah, we're not saying anything you are typing inside. No, because of this, let's say, how will I put it now? The window.
Yes.
If the calculator can come in the window, can come a little bit.
Calculation you are doing.
Uh,
Can't see what
Are you seeing it now?
you can't see the results of the calculation you are doing. The result of it.
I see it now. You can see it now.
Okay. Okay. So let's just proceed. We look at this particular, some of these other functions. We look at them and see how, especially what I want you guys to do for me now is to implement functions, add more keys, one row here, just model this scientific calculator. In the area where you have this S square, this line, you now need to have S square, S raised to power 2 before the 1 over S. If then you have this one, uh, you have this ESP key also. You have this mode key. You have this square root key, this bracket. You add all of them. You have this factorial also. Then we can look at the implementation of the code that will now make them to work. So the first task for tomorrow is to design our calculator and include all these new keys, new buttons. Then the next day we look at making those buttons to now do their job. I guess it's something you guys can do within tomorrow.
Yes, sir. But sir, please, sir, I don't know, sir. Can we write any code on this delete? Because I was thinking, I don't know because it's this one deleted, it's deleting one. So I don't know how to go about it. Can we please write something on it?
Okay,
Because I was
the one we have is the one that will remove everything. So
everything. Yeah.
let's see our delete. Where is the delete key? Okay, this is it. So let's put on click, and then let's call our function delete. And let's just call it that's okay, del. So we can come here and say function del. We remove this. So we can say const our input is document dot element get element by id, sorry, and then we said we are looking for the element with result. Okay, so our value now, value in the input is input dot value. Now the value we want, you remember we can remove something from the end of this if it is an array. Okay. So let's see, and then new value now. Let's just come here dot splice. Is it splice or slice? And then we say -1. And so let's console log our value. Then we have value here. Okay, instead of opening a console, let's just say input.value is now our new value. Okay. We might have an error there. Let's say we have 888 now, we have 5, then we click deal. What are we doing is okay, it's only picking the last one. Oh, sorry, I want to remove the last one. This is oh my god, I still have batteries. Okay, so this is input. No, we should call this one last. Let's say value should be value first, and then let's get again some last is equals to value dot slice. Let's say -1. We pick the last one, and then it's still value. So let's try this now. We know our last one should be removed. Did I attach value to it? Alternatively, I'm just trying to use that method. We can use this our substring, and then we say we start from 0, and then we end at value.length -1. That is our new value. Let's call this new value. And then what we say now, we attach new value. I think this should finish before my battery runs out now. So we click date. We are removing the last one. I wanted to try the other approach there, but it was problematic. So with this, we are able to remove the last one. Every time we click on this, it takes away the last one for us. All right, that is it about deleting one. We'll stop here for the day. Tomorrow we continue. So enjoy the rest of your evening till we meet again tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.